Hi, I'm Andre J, and welcome to another episode of Video Synthesis Tarot, the program where we look at what can we learn in terms of visual communication from tarot decks. Today we have the spread, we have Valour, Success, and Queen of Discs. And as always, we'll kind of look at each card individually, talk about what the design, what sort of design aspects seem pertinent from it, and how we can use that in terms of visual composition, using the weight pool as usual. So, Valour, let me see if I can get a little zoomed in here. Having some difficulties with focus on this one. There we go. So Valour, let's just look at this on its own for now. What we can see happening here is we have so Valour is the Seven of Wands. And I'm not sure, I don't think we did Six of Wands yet, but this card is very similar to Six of Wands. It has the same sort of set here of the 6 wands in the background, and each of them, there's a lotus head, there's like an ibis head, there is the Horus hawk. Each one of these is sort of mirrored on each side, so there's like the little grid pattern of interlacing wands in the background. And in the foreground, there's the 7th wand, which is this crooked, fiery, broken club. So you can see that this is sort of contrasted with the ones in the background in terms of this one in the foreground is like, it has no like animal or vegetable ornamentation. It's just like basically like someone just like walked into the woods and grabbed a stick. So it's sort of this like crude, primitive, earthy, chthonic feeling to it. As you can see, it's sort of like crookedly right in the middle of the hexagrid in the background, and then behind that you can see there's like this sort of chaotic fiery pattern. So Valour in this case seems to be sort of like a bravery, like a bravery in the face of chaos. Like you're sort of you're up against this like chaotic fiery element. And all you really have to like work with is just like a stick that you grab from the ground. Like this is all you have to protect yourself. But so thinking about this in terms of like visual communication, what we have going on here is this pattern. We have this 6-fold symmetry pattern, and we know how to get some 6-fold symmetry happening. If I do symmetry right down the middle here. Let's bring things inwards a little bit, and then we can try some rotations and see if we can get this just right. So let me put this, if I can get this right in the middle, I should be able to work this out to get 6-fold symmetry. So what do we got here? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, we've got the 6-fold symmetry happening right here, and we want some kind of chaotic things happening in the background. We want a mixture of like chaos and pattern. Let me bring up the brightness a little bit. I had it turned down to start with. Brightness and saturation. Let's get some color going on too. I do like the color scheme here, which is sort of like a rich purple with a gold and red overlays on it. I'm not quite sure if I'll be able to make that happen here, but I'd like to try anyway. This is actually pretty close here. I like this so far. It's not quite purple, but it's got the blue and it's got the gold happening. Sweet spot right there. Yeah. Now here we go. So we have this sort of chaotic, fiery feeling. We've got the coolness of the blue, and it seemed like disintegrating into like a red flame. Could fill the ground by turning on toroidal universe. We have this six-fold symmetry, and if I sort of pull this one right up as we move this around, we can kind of get like a feeling for this like the crooked staff in the center. So yeah, this is pretty nice. I'm pretty satisfied with how this one turned out. Ha 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 ha. Alright, next up we have the 6 discs, which is so-called success. So we can see once again here we have more of the six-fold symmetry happening, which I don't want to try to do exactly the same thing just to mix things up, but I do want to try something that does have like some kind of six-fold pattern to it. We have this sort of like very organic kind of like peach, rose, kind of a warm pink and orange tone, gradient circles in the middle, surrounding the rosy cross, the Rosicrucian symbol. You can see the little the petals and the cross around it. And then we have arranged in a hexagon around the rosy cross. There is each sphere of the planetoids. So this is sort of a microcosm of the sort of astrological universe. And sort of in the background, it looks like there's more and more sort of like spheres and movement happening. Like there's sort of all of these like, perhaps like this is like the greater universe as a whole. When you think in sort of like the thought of like the universe being like all of these intersecting like spheres and what have you. Yeah, success. Sixes are often these sort of kind of like 6 is like a perfect number in Pythagorean, conceptology or whatever. 6 is sort of like seen as being like kind of like a very significant number in terms of like being like even. Well, there's like the joke like 6 is even and odd because it's 2 times 3. It's the first even number times like the first non-1 prime odd number. But yeah, so let's see what we can do with this general pale blue and like peach color scheme, and working with like concentric circles and sort of some kind of six-fold pattern. Right now off the bat it looks like we have a six-fold pattern happening. And I think that's just kind of like accidental, and it's a little bit coming off of the card itself. Let's see if we can just bring more of like the natural card pattern out. Not so much, I guess. Here, if I increase saturation here, oh, we definitely get a lot of blue, so that's a good place to start. We did want some blue. I can once again try. So what I was doing before, let me just map things out this way so I can see about getting like this kind of six-way pattern going on here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a little bit of an asymmetrical six-fold thing. I can actually, yeah, I'll just match it up with that on there. Let me turn off the symmetry. And let me try zooming in and out. I'm going to remove this toroidal universe for a moment. Let's try different kinds of zooms so we can try to get like a spiral pattern instead of a, what do you call it, instead of like the mirrored pattern. Turn up brightness a little bit. And I'm going to bring in the temporal filter. Oops, wrong way. Let me bring it in this way so we can slow things down. Because this is a very orderly card. Let's see if I can get a little bit more of that. We can see that we have some, it's a little more saturated than I would like, so let me try dialing, or let me try inverting saturation. That's not quite what I was looking for. Let me just try dialing down the saturation a bit, and yeah, now we're getting some pale things happening. If I remove the entire card, then we get, well, we just get pink. If I bring it back in, then we start to get some more blue happening. And if I zoom out, I wanted that to stay that way. Oops. Let's go this way. What happens if we key things out just a tiny bit and then we zoom this way? So we can have this sort of six-fold symmetry in terms of spiraling downwards. Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of this. And then as we move, shifting the card around. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this is 7, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Gotta change the rotation. Make sure it's 6. It's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, alright, six-fold spiral. I'm just kind of bringing the card, just moving a little bit in and out of the light, so just tiny bits kind of like get keyed in and out. We don't quite have the pink. Not quite yet. I can try dialing down saturation even farther. Yeah. So we got pink and blue now. Oh yeah, I'm quite happy with how this one worked out. Nice. And finally, we have the Queen of Discs. So the Queen of Discs, we have some more. This is our second disc of the spread here. And the Queen of Discs is somewhat of another sort of chthonic entity. Discs in general are earthy, but the Queen of Discs is sort of like fertility, like a river. You see that in the background. There's this river going through the desert, and little palm trees are blooming up at various areas where the river is fertilizing the desert. There's an echo of this sort of wiggly, fertile river pattern in the antlered helm that the queen is wearing. They have this scepter, which has a pretty neat little cube on it. Always nice to see like a cube that has a little hexagram inside of it. Their throne seems to be made out of really large grass fibers, or perhaps the Queen of Discs is very tiny. And they have this like little hyperbolic geometry ball that they're holding. I think the interesting thing to me about this one is I like this sort of wavy, wiggly thing that's happening, and this sort of composition that like starts from up here and sort of takes you like down like this. So I kind of want to see what I can do in terms of making things sort of like wiggle their way down like that. And maybe I'm not going to worry so much about the color scheme in this one, but more so just about how do I get like a kind of wavy, wiggly thing happening. If I was using artificial life, that would be pretty easy. But using wave pool means I kind of need to like work with what I've got. And actually right now this one's pretty neat because it does look like there's sort of water dripping, like we have this sort of waterfall thing happening. It's just kind of like an accidental thing based upon how the lighting is working with the with my backdrop here. But I'm gonna keep working with it. No ways we can get it to kind of go actually really just simply kind of like waving back and forth. I'm gonna turn on Toroidal Universe and just gonna see where that goes. So we get this kind of like wiggling flow coming down like this. And if I turn on the toroidal universe, that means everything's going to kind of like save as it goes. I'm going to add a bit more color to this. Yeah. So for some reason, all of the default color schemes we get from everything is this sort of like rich cerulean blue with like an offset of orange, and I'm not really like, I don't really have any problem with that. And the various sort of wiggles we're getting these sort of wavy wiggles trapped in there because of how I'm moving so I have Y just kind of set to going down, so we're displacing things down in the Y direction. I've got toroidal universe on, so everything kind of like that falls off the bottom comes up on the side, and as I'm like sort of washing this around, we get this kind of wiggly thing stuck in there. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with how this one works, and I can turn on the temporal filter and kind of blur it all out a little bit more. Let me just change color just a little bit. Oh, that got dramatic. Wasn't quite looking for hue shifting to happen. We can get a bit more of this goopy texture happening if I work this way. Yeah, now we have this sort of like the red is the desert and the blue is this sort of river like cutting through the desert, and there's a green and yellow in between the red because of how the river is fertilizing the desert. Wow. Yeah, this one worked out pretty well. Let's see if I can just take it down a little bit, tiny bit less saturation. Subtlety. Can we be subtle? Just barely. Yeah. Alright, Queen of Discs River time. Alright, well, I'm pretty happy with how all of these turned out. Awesome. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this episode of Video Synthesis Tarot. See y'all next time.